Hello everyone! Today we're going to learn how to use OnePlan to extend Microsoft PPM for Power Apps. I'm logged in here into Power Apps, and the very first thing that I'll come in and do is I can come in and I can create a new project request. I can capture all the basic information needed, as well as start to generate a prioritization score, and when I'm ready I can utilize Flow to convert this into an actual project where I can start to really build out the business case. From there I'll go into one of my projects, like my social networking integration project, and I can come in and do just that. I can align this project to portfolios, programs, and products, and any other required information. I can build out my business case, like a high-level description, my business case, my value statement, and I can start to prioritize using a more traditional prioritization mode, or I can use a more lean or agile prioritization mode like weighted shortest job first, WSJF. When I'm ready to do so, I can start defining the resource requirements for this particular project, and I can build out my high-level top-down resource plan. To do that, I'm utilizing OnePlan's resource planner here today to build that out. The first thing I can do is I can go try to find resources by name, if I know exactly who I'm looking for, or by business unit or by role, and figure out, who I might need for this particular project, how many of them I'm going to need, and for how long. From there, once I have my resource plan built, I can then come in and use the financial planner to figure out what it's going to take to do this from a financial perspective, basically build out my high-level budget. The first thing that I can do is I can come in and I can hit import and import in my labor costs from that resource plan that I just created, so I don't have to try to manually calculate that all out. From there, I can key in any other costs I might have around travel expenses, contract software, and other. And later on, I can even start to compare this budget to a forecast or actuals here, and then see a heat map of where I'm over, under, and what the variance is on those different items to make sure I'm not going over what I initially estimated. Once I have my business case built out, and I've built out my high-level resource plan and financial plan, I can come into the portfolio analysis module and start to do some prioritization and figure out which projects I'm going to do, when can I do them, based off of the priorities that have been generated from the information that I've put in so far. So I'm going to switch here over to my prioritization view, and I'll put it into prioritization mode. And based off of that prioritization score and other metrics that I may have put in, like ROI, NPV, IRR, etc., I can start to just drag and drop these around where it makes sense. I want to raise the priority of this project, I want to lower the priority of that project, and get a stacked rank here of all of my projects in order from highest priority to lowest at the bottom. I can then show other things and bring in other pieces of data here, like my timeline, and see where these projects are all lined up currently today, based off of what people are asking for and in-flight projects, as well as show my dependencies between these projects, as you can see here. Then I need to make sure that I'm going to stay within my constraints, meaning I only have so much money, I only have so much resources. So the first thing that I'll do here is, based off of my fiscal year 2020 budget, I can see where I'm going to have problems, and I can do a what if analysis on this. I can come in and say, what if I don't do these projects or I put them on hold? That will update my budget down here and show me how that's going to work. Or what if I stagger these a little bit better? I'm going to push some of these lower priority projects out further into the future, see how that's going to affect my budget. At the same time, from a resource perspective, I can view this and make sure I'm not going outside of my resource constraints. I only have so many people that I can utilize on this particular projects. And so this shows me just that. And again, I can what if by dragging things around, as well as checking or unchecking these guys to see how that's going to affect my resource plan down in the bottom. Then I can save these as scenarios, and I can come back them anytime later and figure out which scenario is going to make the most sense for us. At some point, I can come in then to my Kanban board and visualize all these projects and where they are along the status of them. And I can generate a roadmap here that's going to show me where all of those projects are in time, and I can then give that to my stakeholders, customers, etc., so they can visually see how these things are laying out based off of the priorities and such and constraints that we have. Once I've done my top-down planning and figured out what I'm going to do and when, then I can come in and start to build out my more detailed project schedule. And I have multiple different options to do that. I can utilize OnePlan to extend the solution here and give myself a lot of flexibility on what execution tools I want to use, more from the bottoms-up side of things. One said option is I can come in and I can use the new project for the web to build out my project schedule and manage things there. I could use the Office 365 Planner if I'm looking for something a little more lightweight, or Project Professional if it's a really big project that I need a really big project schedule for and all of the bells and whistles of Project Professional desktop at my hands. If this is more of an Agile project and I want to manage it in an Agile way with an Agile backlog, then I can actually connect up to Jira and or Azure DevOps and utilize those to manage the execution of the project, but let it all roll back and up into my reports and portfolio views and such. Another scenario, if you just want to use the new project for the web capability, then I can actually set this up so that it just automatically goes right to project for the web. And so I have one choice here. I'm going to use project for the web to build out my particular project schedule and use all the capabilities within there, including the grid view, the portfolio Kanban board that's going to show you all of these different items by sprint or by finish date, etc. And or I can use the timeline / Gantt in here to see all of these different tasks that are assigned to people when they're done with their predecessor, successor, depends on type values and such. Lastly, I can track things like risks, issues, changes, etc. on these projects as they're being managed. As I assign the different work to people, no matter which tool I use, I can then utilize the My Work feature within here to update status on it. So more from a team member perspective, I see all the work that's assigned to me, I update my status, and that goes back to the project manager and sucks back into the project schedules where those were assigned to me from. If you choose to use so, you can also use OnePlan as a timesheet module to track time on top of these different tasks and projects that have been assigned to me and keep track of that time and let that roll back up as actual hours, as well as generate actual labor costs based off of those hours that people are spending on these projects. Lastly, there's a full, robust report pack available with this that's built within Power BI, and it has very clear visuals of everything from a health summary showing all of your projects, the status of those, to different cost and financial types of reports, to resource reports, issues, risks, etc., to show you and be able to visualize all of this data in meaningful ways and give benefit and value back to your stakeholders, to upper level executives, customers, so on and so forth.